you should be very comfortable with the present tense and the present tense endings, or the personal endings, O or M, that we saw in the imperfect and sum, S, T, mus, tis, und, in the active voice. And in the passive voice, the endings are ris, tur, mur, mini, untur. These endings should be solid in your minds. Now we're going to introduce the future indicative. Just like in English, it depicts action which will happen in the future. It has not yet happened, and it can be both simple or progressive. So, I will tell you a story, or I will be walking. That is simple progressive. Now all we need is that tense marker. And again, like with the imperfect, we're going to divide between first and second and third and fourth, but here it's going to be a little more complicated. The third and fourth conjugations will give you some fits and starts in the beginning, but the tense marker for the first and second conjugations is going to be bi in most cases, not in the first singular or the third plural. For the third and fourth, we're going to use e as our tense marker, except in the first person singular. So let's take a look at these. We're going to use our present stem, we're going to use our tense marker, we're going to add our personal endings. So for the first conjugation, wait, there's already an exception. Wokabo. Not bi, but bo. So wokabo, wokabis, tense marker, wokabit, tense marker, wokabimus, wokabitis, wokabunt. There's exception number 2, bu. So we're not going to say wokabint, but wokabunt. So wokabo, bis, bit, bimus, bitis, bunt. And in the passive, I will be called wokabor. So we're going to use our present act or future active, and we're going to add our r. So wokabor, wokaburis. Watch this e here, not buris, B-I-R-I-S. That's right out. But buris, wokabitur, wokabimor, wokabimini, wokabuntur. There's a little bit of that u that we saw up here shows up here. So bor, buris, bitur, bimor, bimini, buntur. And these endings are going to look identical to the one in the second conjugation. Habe bo, habe bis, habe bit, habe bimus, habe bitis, habe bunt. O and u. And in the passive, bor, buris, there's our e, bitur, bimor, bimini, buntur. Habe bor, habe buris, habe bitur, habe bimor, habe bimini, habe buntur. Identifying these shouldn't be a problem. Again, we're working backwards. If you see the personal endings, you'll know exactly who's doing the action, and then you'll look for your tense marker. Notice it's not BA, so it's not imperfect, but rather future, and then our present stem. Now remember, I said the third and fourth conjugations are going to be a little dodgier, so let's take a look at them. No BI to hang your hat on, but instead we've got this vocal, this vowel tense marker. So agam, agase, aget, agamus, agatus, agent. Notice it's mostly e's, but in the first person singular, it's an a. So agam, agase, aget, agamus, agatus, agent. And in the passive, we're going to have the same vowels, but with our passive endings. Agar, agaris, agatur, agamor, agamini, agentur. And these endings, so the third and fourth, are going to be the same regardless of conjugation. So faciam, facies, faciet, faciemus, facietis, facient, and our a in our first person singular, but the E throughout. And in the passive, officiar, officieris, officiator, officiemur, officiemini, officientur. A in the first person singular, E everywhere else. And fourth conjugation, same thing. Audiam, audies, audiet, audiamus, audietis, audient. So in our first singular, we've got the A, but the E throughout, with our regular personal endings. And in the passive, audiar, audieris, audietur, audiemur, audiemini, audientur. A in the first singular, E everywhere else. And then our regular personal endings. We should look at sum real quickly. To remind you, the imperfect was eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus, erant. I was, you were, he was. We were, you were, they were. The future, we're going to use our o, is, it, imus, itus, und. And we're going to have our er stem. We're just going to put the endings right onto it. So ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritis, erunt. Notice, just like in the first person, in the first and second conjugations, o and you instead of that I.